a man who has never published an incorrect list. He's never missed. And I'm not saying that because he listed the Spurs Up Show as the best team podcast for an individual college team. I would never have any biases because of that list, my guy. But no, Big Game Boomer, appreciate you taking the time, man. Sincerely,
Yeah.
you do a great job. I was just saying before you jumped on, you do a great job in regards to covering college football. And obviously this week you had a ton to talk about with the Southern Cal, UCLA stuff and conference realignment and just the game of college football. The sport is changing as we know it. So I appreciate you taking the time out of your day.
Yeah, no problem, man. Happy to join.
Yeah. So obviously I know everybody in here wants to hear your thoughts on the Gamecocks, and you've had Shane Beamer on your airways, but
yeah,
first things first, I got to know this. You can see my shirt. I hate Clemson, right? I hate Clemson. You, my friend, I respect the hell out of it, because when I've got people hitting me up saying, oh, Big Game Boomer is the Spurs Up Show's troll account, I know you're doing something right. Bro, you got to give the people an idea. Where does this history, you and the beef with Clemson, where's it come from?
So I don't hate Clemson. I grew up a Clemson fan. I've posted a picture of me tailgating at Death Valley. So I grew up a Clemson fan. Just went to a ton of Clemson games. And when it was time to go to school, I ended up going to OU. Just visited Norman, loved it. Thought it was a cool college town, and so I ended up going to OU. And so from there, my fandom switched from OU to from Clemson to OU. And during that time when I was growing up, it was like the Bowden years, and Clemson wasn't very good. Like, they were decent, but I mean, you went into like almost every game like really with not knowing whether or not they're going to win. And since then, since the Dabo era, I've just seen so many fans and stuff just kind of come out of the woodworks, bandwagon fans, if that's what you want to call them, that I've seen that just, I don't think they appreciate what Clemson football, is. I think they're just there because of Dabo and how much they're winning now. And the ACC is not what it used to be. It's weak. So I don't know. That's kind of where it comes from. So I don't hate Clemson, but I do like to poke the bear every now and then.
and we appreciate it and we enjoy it, because again, I'm someone that I most certainly like to do the same. When it comes to your lists, my guy, I'm curious, because again, you do a great job with that, and it's really cool, man, because I mean, as you know, you and I both know, you're going to get it on social media no matter what when you're talking sports, and you're giving so many opinions. Not everybody's going to agree, and that's the beauty of it. We say on these airways, the beauty's in the banter. But you found a great niche in regards to just posting lists and in a very aesthetically pleasing way, very simple to the point, though, with the team colors. Like, I love it. But I got to ask, because you rank, I mean, it's just everything, literally everything you can think of. How much research really goes into the list? Because, I mean, I've done lists. I've just done top 5 lists, bro. And I've got like a newfound respect for what you do, because I spent the month of June ranking like top 5 of every position all time at South Carolina, head coaches, even uniforms, everything you can think of. And I'm like, dude, people lose their minds over a top 5. So when you're doing like top 50s and top 100s, I'm like, I really respect what BGB is doing. How much research goes into those, and like, what's your creative process in regards to putting those lists together?
So it really depends on the list. There is, like, when I'm ranking like players and coaches, I try to be as dead accurate. I mean, that's just based on, research, like stats, draft rankings, stuff like that. And if you look at my rankings and then you look at like 24/7 or Athlon, like, they're usually pretty close. And then coaches, I will just look at development, recruiting, guys that they put in the league. So I do spend a lot of time on those, because like, if you see those tweets, like all the coaches retweet them. I get coaches and players just like thanking me for ranking them on their list. So I take those pretty seriously. But then when there's like, we're doing like, I did the most sensitive fan bases.
Right.
Last week I had earlier this week, there was like 4 million views on it. Those I always try to have some sort of structure, but then I'll always take a shot at a team here and there just to poke the bear. And it stimulates a lot of banter on Twitter, as you've seen.
Yeah, I was going to ask, is it something crazy where, you started with humble beginnings? I feel like you basically started at zero on social media like
Yeah.
everybody else. But to see all these coaches and players and schools sharing it and putting so much stock in the list, like how crazy is that for you just seeing the recognition the lists have gotten?
It's wild, man, because like I started this I started on Twitter November of 2020. I had like 50 followers, and by like, March of 2021, it started really ramping up. And it's like every time I post a list now, there's an article about it in like Sports Illustrated or USA Today, talking about the list and where something was ranked or not. So it's wild. It's been wild, but I love it. It's fun. I love talking college football, and it's kind of my way to do it all off season and in the season.
Now, you had Shane Beamer on your airwaves, BGB. Let's move to that. Your overall
Yeah,
impressions of the Gamecocks head coach. Of course, I know you and I would both agree he overachieved in year one, getting this
yeah,
team to a bowl game and then winning said bowl game over North Carolina. But again, you've been able to speak to him one-on-one, just your thoughts on him as the Gamecocks head coach and his leadership leading this program moving forward.
yeah. I'm a huge fan of Shane Beamer. I'm an OU guy, so I saw him at OU. Saw the impact he had on the players there. So before I knew it was a great hire, when South Carolina hired him, in 2020, and I knew it was going to be good for you guys. Just his energy and his kind of charisma to kind of just he gets people believing. And that's his best quality, I think. You look at the South Carolina fan base right now. I mean, how many games did they win with Will Muschamp? Like
Not
six
enough. Yeah,
games or something.
six over a 2-year span. Yeah,
Yeah,
19 and 20. Yeah.
yeah. So like he's got y'all thinking that, I mean, you can win again with going 7-6 last year. I mean, and he's just doing all the right things, going to all the sporting events. I mean, he takes so much time out of his schedule to join podcasts like with me or just anybody, and he's just such a genuine guy. And that's what I like the most about him. I don't see any BS from him. Very likable, and I'm bullish on Beamer for sure.
Yeah, we all are for sure. Beamer ball, baby.
Yeah,
You're an OU guy, obviously, BGB. Your thoughts, of course, Shane Beamer hauls in Spencer Rattler, Austin Stockton. I mean, I would argue to say the Gamecocks made the splash of the quote-unquote offseason, if you will, in the transfer portal at least.
yeah.
I know it didn't end great for Rattler, obviously, last year with Caleb Williams taking his job, and then, of course, the drama with Lincoln Riley. And Spencer Rattler went as far to say that it was a toxic situation. I feel like that what happened to Spencer last year could be like one of the best things ever happened to him. Just getting humbled a little bit, having to deal with some adversity. I feel like now maybe he's got that chip on his shoulder and he's going to attack this thing with South Carolina. And maybe he's poised, hopefully, to have his best season yet. But your overall thoughts on Spencer Rattler, the player, and just the pickup by Shane Beamer and company?
Yeah, it was huge. I mean, I think Stogner helped get him to Columbia, but people forget he had a great 2020 season. I don't have the stats in front of me, but I mean, the dude was off the charts. And so I think last year, USC fired Clay Helton, I think like the second week of the season. And I think Lincoln Riley was in talks with USC from September all the way through into November when he said he was going to USC. And I think the whole season was just out of whack. If you watched OU play, it just wasn't the Lincoln Riley style offense. So I think that it was great. I think it humbled him, getting benched and everything. So I expect big things from Spencer Rattler at South Carolina this year. I mean, South Carolina's offense last year was anemic. So to get Rattler, Stogner, which Stogner's going to stay healthy. He's had trouble. They got Christian Bill Smith from Wake Forest. That was a huge pickup. And I forget the dude's name from James Madison that they picked up.
Wells,
yeah. I've heard that him and Rattler have really clicked. So I'm excited to see what Rattler does at South Carolina.
Now, BGB, before I get you out of here, of course, we are entering talking season at July 1st. Believe it or not, SEC Media Days is 2.5 weeks away, basically. And we're starting to lock in predictions. I won't necessarily ask you for an exact game-by-game or record prediction, but I'm seeing a lot of 6-6s, 7-5s, some 8-4s, but I feel like 7-5 is kind of the typical pick for this team. Again, you win 7 last year, 6 in the regular season. You overachieved. The Vegas over-under, we've seen 5.5 or 6. just your overall thoughts on this team going in the fall, because I feel like South Carolina, even taking my biases out of it, is one of the most intriguing teams in college football, because you made that splash in the portal. You add when he's at his best, a Heisman Trophy caliber quarterback, first rounder, if you will. But the schedule's so tough, and everybody in the SEC got better as well, right? You've got to go to Arkansas. You still got to play A&M, Georgia, and Clemson. You got to play Tennessee, go to Kentucky. So what are your thoughts on this team, this 2022 season? How do you kind of see South kind of faring this year?
Well, I mean, I think there are still a lot of question marks. I mean, the offensive line, I know they bring a ton of guys back, but I mean, the offensive line was not great last year. So, I mean, can you return that? Can those returning starters be more productive? I think that's important. Yeah, Vegas has 5.5. I said last night, like, I think 7-5, 8-4 is a really good season, even if and then you win your bowl game. Just because, like you said, the schedule's crazy. Your crossover games are at Arkansas, and then you got A&M coming to Columbia, and then you got to still play Clemson. So, I mean, that's just a lot. But we don't know how the offense is going to respond with their upgrades. I mean, South Carolina won 7 games with a graduate assistant quarterback last year. So let's see how they do with Rattler. I think Satterfield, this is a big year for him. That offense has got to step it up. And the defense will be, I think the defense will be fine. They got to get a little more pressure on the quarterback. Secondary should be good. But yeah, I'm in the 8-4, 7-5, and then a couple things go their way. They could go 9-3. So we'll see.
Yeah, for sure. I'll be locking in my predictions next week, but I agree with you. It's an interesting team. I think the floor is pretty high, but where is the ceiling? I think it all depends on that schedule and how it breaks. BGB, I'll go ahead and get you out of here, man. I appreciate you taking the time. Would definitely love to chat again soon. And I will say this. I know I DM'd you, and I kind of joked at the beginning of the show, but we appreciate the love, man. Honestly, your lists get a lot of traction, a lot of love, and a lot of banter. And so for the Spurs Up show to be listed as the best podcast in regards to the South Carolina space, man, there's a lot of great ones. So I appreciate the love and appreciate your support. And at Big Game Boomer across social media, I'm sure you guys have seen him, but be sure you go follow on social media. BGB, keep up the good work, man. Appreciate you. Let's do it again soon for sure.
All right, take it easy. Have a good 4th.
All right, man. You too. Yeah, happy 4th. Appreciate you.
All right, see you, man.
See you, man.